is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul.
Good morning, all. God is good, and all the time. I have the honor of reading my father's eulogy. I shall refer to him as Minor Wanjigi, and I must tell you that he meant the world to us. I hope you can hear me. Minor Wanjigi was never tall. Yet he towered like a colossus, his influence and wisdom dwarfing those around him. Like a lighthouse, he was a guiding light in turbulent seas. And like granite, his place in history is solid. As a young boy, he first wandered into the vast corridors of colonial history. Within these spaces, in the then Fort Hall, or Metumi, he roamed barefoot, his eyes gleaming with dreams of a grand future, envisaging a destiny far beyond the horizon of his humble beginnings. He achieved more than his dreams. In the sweeping chronicles of history, he took destiny into his own hands and inscribed his tale. Minor Wanjigi was creative from an early age. He was part of what was then called the first literate generation in Africa, the silent generation. It was an age when school children were asked to guess their date of birth. He guessed Wednesday, October 7th, 1931, and he lived celebrating that guess. Indeed, we don't have the exact date, but this was a date further etched in his records. The year 1931 was significant. It was the year that Jomo Kenyatta embarked on a monumental journey to London in April, bearing a petition to reclaim our stolen lands of Kenya. Little did anyone foresee that decades later, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, as president of this republic, would entrust Wanjigi with the profound responsibility of Director of Settlements, tasking him to right the grievous wrongs of colonialism and restore the land to its rightful stewards. I'd like to emphasize here that he did that job with zeal and integrity. And in the almost 1 million acres of people that he settled in this country, he did not even take a quarter acre for himself. In 1931 was also a year the locusts descended upon Kikuyu land, ravaging every crop and leaving a stark landscape of desolation and emptiness. This was followed by the drought in 1931 and the plague in 1936. He survived all that. Was it any wonder that the young boy named Minor, to reflect his Rika, became an agricultural economist, studying in what he termed as the best university in the world, Stanford University. In his early years, Maina Wanjigi, like many boys of his time, was plucked from the rugged life of herding goats. He was born in a humble mud and wattle hut perched atop a hill, where the breathtaking panorama of Wahundura and its sweeping horizons spread out beneath him. Years later, he became a global personality. The world became the stage where he would spew his might. The firstborn of a family of three, his father, Wanjigi, Mushogia, and wife, Wangeshi, had one of the most minor families by the 1930 standards. He had two sisters only, Joki and Gadoni. And in their preschool days, they did the essential duties like all other ordinary kids in the village. Maina Wanjigi grew up under his grandmother's care as urban life disrupted family units. Maina Wanjigi searched for his mother, and his interventions during the Mau Mau crackdown of 1950s is illustrated well in his autobiography. My Shosho had been detained, and in fact, one of the people she was detained with at the time was Mama Nginya Kenyatta. The shepherd boy in pursuit of virtue is a book he wrote and was launched in 2013 by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I truly implore you to read it. I think we have some copies that we may have brought here that we're going to distribute. He has rich history. To understand Maina Wanjigi, one has to look at his academic life. Karibu, Karibu, my good friend, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. Karibu. To understand Honorable Wanjigi, one has to look at his academic life. In 1938, he embarked on his educational journey at Wahundura Primary School, where he quickly mastered the intricacies of the English language and discovered an unexpected talent for composing love letters. Older female pupils, still navigating the complexities of grammar, soon sought his skillful pen to craft heartfelt missives for their Nairobi boyfriends. He had the power of the pen. He knew how to quote. When the replies came, he was entrusted with the delicate task of reading and interpreting the letter's tender sentiments. This role grounded him in a profound trust, was a prelude to a lifelong commitment to confidentiality and integrity, defining Maina Wanjigi's distinguished career as a public servant. He never dropped that character. Again, village life taught him the power of togetherness and the formation of cohesive groups. He loved song and dance, and those who saw him as Kamkunji MP knew his love for songs and Ekenwa dancers. From an early age, he loved storytelling, which explains his debating prowess as a member of parliament. He loved listening to his grandmother's griping tales while eating roast sweet potatoes, something he continued to do to his third generation. Maina Wanjigi was brilliant. In the entire location, he was the only one who passed to join Kagumo Intermediary School in 1943. That was the year of famine, the cassava famine, or what the Kikuyu called ngaragu ya miaga. He would describe the ugali from cassava flour as tasteless, monotonous, elastic, a depressing necessity. He actually disliked it completely. It was at Kagumo that his dreams of a better future were enlarged. Skoke virtues were inculcated in Kagumo: confidence, hard work, courage, and respect. He says as much in his autobiography, epitomizing. He wanted to join Alliance High, which to him epitomized academic excellence. Wanjigi did not aspire to be second place. He had heard of Carrie Francis. Carrie Francis made Alliance very famous for those who don't know, whose fame had reached different parts of the country. Finally, in the Kagumo class of 1946, he was among the 6 students who triumphed to join Alliance. He remarked later that he was on top of the world, and indeed he was. His first meeting with Carrie Francis was frightening. He wanted to know if Maina Wanjigi was baptized. Apparently, he had been admitted to Kagumo as Maina Wanjigi. He told Carrie Francis that his baptismal name was James. It may have been an invention, for he could not have joined Alliance if he had not been a Christian. Thus, James became part of his Alliance records. James Maina, Form 1A, admission number 953. Though it was a boys' school, one girl was in his class, the late Margaret Wambui Kenyatta. Maina Wanjigi, perhaps now we can call him James also, was good in biology and chemistry. His leadership qualities were noticed within these academic spaces. He became a medical prefect, attending to students' health. They nicknamed him Doctor and was adored by students. I must tell you that he was going to be a doctor. But when he went to see a cadaver being cut up, he ran away completely and never went back. He could not take it. Wanjigi would be involved in business at an early age. He had accompanied his father to Murang'a railway station. He would accompany his father to Murang'a railway station and Thika to sell water bags, Magoko. He watched how his father easily made friends and treated everybody. He inherited this virtue from him. A lesson of hard work and entrepreneurship that would inform his later life. He would be involved in setting up many companies in this country and running businesses. The Kwacha Group remains a signature of this spirit. Alliance meant a lot to him. He traced his missing mother in Modhurwa, Nairobi. He also taught Sunday school at Rogiri Primary School and learned the virtue of giving without expecting anything in return. At one point, he considered abandoning his studies at Alliance because his best friend, David Kayanda became the first mayor of Mombasa, couldn't join Makerere. It was a moment of true solidarity. But Kerry Francis found him hiding in Nakuru. He had literally run away from school and convinced him to rejoin school. Apparently, he was the only student from Alliance admitted to study sciences, biology, physics, and chemistry, leading to a future in medicine, veterinary science, and agriculture. In 1952, Wanjigi joined Makerere University, a turbulent year marked by the state of emergency and the Mau Mau uprising. He passionately supported the Mau Mau cause, singing their protest songs and protesting in the university corridors. And he became part of the struggle from within Makerere. This habit of protest eventually made the colonial government catch up with him, and he was deported back to Haundura. He started teaching at Pumwani Primary School until once again, Kerry Francis tracked him down and sent him back to Makerere, securing back the scholarship from him. He graduated with a diploma and worked as an agricultural officer in Mogoiri, Murang'a. In 1958, he fought hard to have his mother released from Mau Mau prison in Kamiti, an illustrator of Maina Wanjigi's love, which would transcend anything else. Maina Wanjigi met the love of his life, Maria, or Mary Wamboi, when she was only 19 during the state of emergency. He used to visit a primary school where he consulted a lot with the sisters, one specifically Sister Evalina. Then he saw my mother, who was going to become a nun. And he decided, Hapa, I know I have found my true love. It was love that blossomed within limited freedoms and spaces where terror thrived. In between, Maina Wanjigi earned a US scholarship to go and study in the US. The question at the time and top of his mind was, would my beautiful Maria wait for me? A marriage had to be done in a hurry. He could not risk. It was a traditional wedding, followed by a church wedding in Kianguni Catholic Church. And in 2 months, he was off to the US. The American dream was everybody's dream. Wanjigi joined the University of Connecticut in Hartford, pursuing graduate work. He later registered for a master's degree in agricultural economics at Stanford University, one of the best in the world, the best as he used to call it. Here, he learned that Maria had given birth to Chinge, our firstborn, called Wangeshi, named after Wanjigi's mother. That day, he smoked a cigar in celebration together with his friends. He coughed for 30 minutes and never went back to smoking again. In mid-1961, Wanjigi graduated from Stanford and returned to form the foundation of an emerging nation. It was the dawn of independence with new black internationalists, when new black internationalists were fighting to fill intellectual spaces, here too occupied by white settlers and administrators. Wanjigi returned to the point where Jomo Kenyatta was released from prison. In fact, he returned on the exact same day as Jomo Kenyatta was released from prison. He was posted to Nyeri as the deputy agricultural officer, though he was much more educated than his white superiors. He was thrown into mediocre jobs, but still did it with gusto. It was Wanjigi at his best. In 1962, they had a second child, Jimmy, myself. In 1964, Nancy, followed by Sunny in 1965. After he moved to Nairobi, agriculture and politics would become part of his life. Kenyatta appointed him to oversee the million-acre scheme as director of settlement. It was this period when his integrity and quest for justice were put to test. He passed the test, and history has recorded that. He questioned land grabbing and policy failures on land. He wrote many letters to his superiors. The competing interests finally won, and the rest is history. But Wanjigi was proud of the thousands upon thousands he settled in this entire country called Kenya. He was the founding father of various settlements. One of the most famous he's known for is the Nyandarua settlement. When he joined ICDC, he would also play a major role in the Africanization of business. He oversaw the establishment of KNTC, Ever Ready, and many other companies, the 6 major companies that were initiated at the time. He's perhaps known in politics as the MP for Kamkunji. In 1969, he replaced Tom Mboya and was appointed assistant minister. Coincidentally, today, 5th July, is 55 years anniversary since Tom Mboya got assassinated. And it's quite profound that we're now burying Mzee 55 years later. His record at various ministries he served is well illustrated as part of Kenya's history. He championed establishing the pineapple industry in Kenya, the Del Monte plantation that you see today, and the macadamia industry, which is part of his legacy. In 1970, just to give you a short story to digress, he flew with the late Bruce Mackenzie to Hawaii, and they discovered macadamia nuts. But because of various licensing and medical restrictions, they couldn't just bring them. So he decided this can grow in Kenya. So he packed seeds in Bruce Mackenzie's diplomatic briefcase, which will not be searched. And Bruce Mackenzie's wife hid other seedlings in her wig and went through customs bringing them. They're the ones who brought the first macadamia nut seed to Kenya. Give him a big clap. On development in Murang'a, he was behind the establishment of the Murang'a College of Technology, later Murang'a University, together with other great Murang'a leaders such as Dr. Kiano and Bethuel Yeshaga. In 1974, President Jomo Kenyatta finally opened that college, and it was the first in Mount Kenya region. if anything can be written about his politics, is that he stood with the people he represented. He took the bullet for them. This is what happened in the famous Moroto evictions. Wanjigi told the truth and paid for it. It's good to see here, up here, the provost at the time of All Saints Cathedral, who stood with my father, who stood with the liberators of this country at that time, even housed people in the All Saints Cathedral when they were being chased and tear gassed by police. Please give a big clap to Emeritus Bishop John Jenga. Sorry, Peter Jenga. Please stand up. There he is. He was also interrogated at Nyayo House. I don't know whether the lawyer Haminwa is here. It's a pity he's not here. He's the one who saved him from Nyayo House. And he spent time in the trenches. Wanjigi wined and dined with the high and mighty. It never went to his head, though. Never went to his head. He was even hosted by the Queen in Buckingham Palace with my mother. Privately, them alone. And even then, it never went to his head. He was still the shepherd boy. By the time he passed, he had left a legacy worth emulating. He is a lighthouse that continues to shine. Almighty God, may he rest in peace. Thank you very much.
If you give a little more than you take, and if you try to fix more than you break, if you're the kind who takes the time to help a stranger in the rain, there's a place for people like you. If you stand up for those down on their knees and lend a voice to those who cannot speak, if you shine a little light, give sight